I'm Jonathan Randall, and welcome to How You Like Me Now. I hope everybody's doing well. Crazy week? Always a crazy week, right? We shot down a Chinese balloon. It was spying on us, or it was collecting weather data. I guess we'll never know. But I think it's weird how people freak out, oh my God, China's spying on us with their crazy balloon. Are they spying on us with their balloon? If they're spying on us with everything, it's TikTok, where we're giving them all our information, and we're giving them the ability, I think, to check our videos and check our microphone anytime we want. I think they can maybe access the camera and the mic. I don't know, but we're so worried about a balloon when we're telling TikTok everything about our lives anyways. The Chinese know everything about us. Last night was the Grammys. Next week is the Super Bowl. I don't give a shit about either, but I am going to Colombia. I'm really excited, a little bit nervous. Doing this trip by myself. I read people get robbed a lot in Colombia. Maybe I'll get kidnapped. Who knows? Is it weird that if I got kidnapped, it'd be one of the most exciting things that happened in my life? I hope I don't. I've been thinking about how I really gotta delete some apps from my phone, so if people see it, they won't know that I'm into crypto or something or other things, or my bank apps, so people won't be oh, he has a bank app, we gotta get this money. Or I was gonna change my I have mom and dad on my phone. I was gonna take them out or change the name so people are oh, your mother, she will send us money after we kidnap you. I don't know. Now I'm scared about being kidnapped, but I still want to go and yellow fever. I don't know. I want to have an adventure, so I think I'm going to go, and I'm going to have one. I'm going to leave next week, so if episode or two is missed, I might try to record another episode this week. That is why. It's because I'm in Colombia, and if more than, 3 episodes are missed, then I definitely did get kidnapped. A little bit of sad news, I guess. My grandma, who is 100, is not doing well. And I don't know how much longer she has to live. I'm hoping it's at least till I get back from Colombia. But she's 100, so it's hard for me to be sad about losing her because she lived a great life. Not a lot of people get to live to be 100. So go, Grandma. I love you. She really enriched my life. I don't think she listens to this podcast, but I do think that that is a good thing. So I had a weird thing last night. I was messaging with some girl, very interested, that I matched with on one of the dating apps. She was totally into me, so much so that she was gonna come straight over to my apartment, a first time meet in my apartment, which is not, I feel a very regular thing. I feel women are afraid, which they should be. They shouldn't just be going randomly to guys' apartments because guys can be creeps. I've heard stories. I know it. I think that I'm a nice guy, but still, I can understand not wanting to go to some random guy's apartment right away. But she was kind of down. She was ready to come to my apartment, and I had a problem with it. I was I don't know, who's this girl that just wants to come to my apartment? I wanted to make sure that she was who she said she was, so I asked her if we could FaceTime. Now, I guess it wasn't that simple because I have a Google Voice number that I often give out to girls on dating apps just because I don't know if they're crazy. I don't want to give them my real number. I'll give them this number and they could text it till they're blue in the face. It doesn't matter. That number means nothing to me. But I just feel I don't know, sometimes it just doesn't feel I should give out my real number right away. So I gave her the Google Voice number, but then when I wanted to FaceTime with her before she came, I'm listen, is it okay if I FaceTime you from another number, which I guess was a huge red flag to her. But I explained to her the situation, and she was actually that made sense. But after we FaceTime, she was she didn't want to come over anymore. So at first I was oh, maybe she just didn't like what she saw. But she wants to go out. We're supposed to go out later tonight. She's oh, come to my place. I'm I'm not coming to your place now. She lives in Jersey. I'm I'm never coming to your place, especially not to meet you for the first time when I go to Hoboken. Well, that is absolutely insane. So I don't think it was that she wasn't interested, but I don't really know what had happened, but I thought it was weird because I was hey, that was still my boundary. I'm glad that I FaceTime with her first to make sure she was who she said she was, to get a little bit of sense of who she was. I'm just not letting any stranger come to my apartment. But that made her not want to come, so whatever, we'll see. I guess we'll go out later. We'll see what happens. Still looking for that special someone. Maybe I'll meet them in Colombia. I don't know. Who's to say? Let's see. What else do I want to talk about this week? Well, actually, I'm talking about girls. I guess there's no good way to talk about this. I feel, I'm not going to talk about this week. I got to figure out a better way to discuss this without it coming across being both vulgar and revealing too much information. But I do want to talk about something that I think was good news that happened in Israel, where they indefinitely called off demolishing a building where 100 Palestinians live in East Jerusalem in the Silwan neighborhood, which I think is great. I'm so glad they called off this demolition. It was just insane to me that they would even go through with something like this at this point of time after there's been, a lot of violence in the last month. And like, how could you say you are trying to create an atmosphere of peace and you care about peace when you're throwing over 100 families out of their home? And of course, Israel likes to use the excuse, oh, well, it was built in 2014 without the proper permits. But it is virtually impossible for Palestinians to get permits to build. In fact, between 2016 and 2020, 99.1% of Palestinian requests for building permits was rejected. So I'm glad that they called off this demolition. I think it's amazing. It was supposed to happen this week. I'm glad. I hope it never happens. But of course, one of the people I dislike the most, scum of the earth, terrorist, Itamar Ben-Gvir, he's like, he doesn't care. He's like, well, we might not demolish it today, we might not demolish it tomorrow, but we're going to demolish it because he's a Palestinian hater, and he's a bigot, and he's a racist, and he's a horrible person, and it makes me sick to my stomach that he is part of the Israeli government. Oh, man, I hate that guy, Itamar Ben-Gvir, but I'm glad that those Palestinians are keeping their homes and their apartment. I mean, kicking 100 people out of the house is pretty gross and pretty disgusting, and definitely I don't feel like in the spirit of Judaism, but hopefully they'll be able to keep their home, and fuck it, Itamar Ben-Gvir. Yes, I did say it. Speaking of things that I'm not big keen on, illegal settlements. I hate them. I think we got to end the illegal settlements. I feel like we should retreat from some of the illegal settlements that are already there, and we definitely should not be expanding anymore. I know that the new Israeli extremist government wants to do that, and I think that's horrible. I think this kind of greed and this expansion of illegal settlements is only going to hurt Israel, and honestly, like, quite possibly lead to its demise, and it needs to stop immediately. So there's one illegal settlement called Homesh that even the Israeli government, the high courts in Israel, they declared that this is an illegal settlement. They raised all the properties. I know, it's nice to hear them breaking down illegal settlers' properties and not just Palestinian properties. But still, settlers go there. They still go there. In fact, it was Tisha B'Av. It was a holiday that the Jews have celebrating trees. I wish Jews cared more about trees, especially these bastard settlers who want to destroy Palestinian olive trees that have been in their families for generations. And you're not supposed to do that. I was talking about that on the American Jew podcast, that in the Bible, God actually says, don't destroy trees that have food in them, even if they're like from your enemy or whatever. If you're invading or whatever, don't destroy those trees. But of course, these illegal settlers are extremist idiots, and they're worshiping the golden calf that is Israel, and they will destroy the trees. It's horrible. But anyways, 1,500 of these Israeli settlers went to this illegal outpost, illegal settlement, Homesh, and they celebrated Tisha B'Av there. Of course, they were allowed to, have their meal, and the Israeli military didn't make them leave till like midnight. I wish they were that kind to Palestinians, but of course they're not. And it's just absolutely crazy. Netanyahu's new government wants to make Homesh legal, which it shouldn't. It's already been illegal. And again, how are we creating an atmosphere for peace when we're expanding illegal settlements, or we're making settlements that the courts already said were illegal legal? Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. So anyways, I think that sucks that those settlers went there to Homesh. I feel like we need more criticism of them from the Jewish community. And I really hope that the extremist Israeli government does not expand more settlements. Stop doing that. That is not helping anybody, and it really needs to end 100%. Speaking of things that need to end, I wanted to talk about Ilhan Omar because, she got kicked off a foreign committee, and, the Republicans are really going after her, and they want to say it's because of anti-Semitic remarks that she made years ago. We'll talk about that, a little bit about Omar. She's one of the first two women, Muslim women, that is, to be elected to Congress. One of the first two Muslim women to be elected to Congress, and she's the first to wear a hijab in the House chamber. after the floor rules were changed to allow members to wear covering for religious reasons. So she's unlike anything we've ever had in Congress before. And of course, that scares people, especially Republicans who are often Islamophobic and anti-Muslim, and they're not crazy about women either. I know there are many Republican congressmen that are females, but still, she's a woman of color, and I think that's the main problem that they have with her and why they kicked her off the committee and why why this is even a story, why this is even a thing. So she was kicked off the Foreign Affairs Committee. By the way, she apologized for the remarks she said that were deemed anti-Semitic, which is a lot more than like idiot Marjorie Taylor Greene did when she was talking about Jew lasers or supporting other QAnon conspiracy theories that are often anti-Semitic. And of course, Trump, the Republican freaking false god who had dinner with Nazis and Holocaust deniers, but they have no problem with that whatsoever. But with Ilhan Omar, a Muslim woman in Congress, of course, they have a lot of problems. So what happened was in 2019, a Republican House Minority Leader